So this is going to be pick up into 171. Okay, so at this bar, Julian, it's going to go much faster. It's the Pumoso's backing up one bar, so it'll be yum tum tum ta tum ta tum. Otherwise the choir won't sing in with us.
Yes, sorry,
that's all right. Why don't we right on the Pumoso on the 9/8 bar? Let's start right there. Okay. 1, 2, 119. Okay, funny entry there. Let's just do that again. This may have to go just a tad faster. Tad faster. What if we just start right at 101, I guess that is, eh?
Yeah.
Right on 101, the 4/4.
How do you want these little Mortons, Kevin? Is this as easy there, or one or two, or?
Just one, I think.
It's okay.
Yeah.
That one's before.
What you were doing is good. I was happy with that.
Okay, yeah, I think I was mostly doing one, but.
Yeah. Okay, right at the 4/4. 214. 215, right? That's where you come in?
Yes.
215.
Actually, I had a quick question here. So the figure, do you like this? Or
Second one. This is more lyrical. Yeah. Okay. That.
sorry, I forgot a G flat.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to just let's just go from 222, the 2/2 bar.
Mm-hmm.
I know 6 flats. Who writes in 6 flats? Okay, right there.
Rachmaninoff and Reeves, 2 R's.
And 1. And. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I remember this from the past. So play.
I can do a D flat and my note.
You can do D flat and E flat.
I can go.
Yes. Yeah. Excellent.
And up, down at the end, maybe? Is that,
Yeah, sorry, that's a much better move. Yeah.
Do you want to just play the last chord, 2 chords? The last 2 chords.
Yeah, we sure do.
See how it turns out. Okay, 1, 2. You're doubling the choir. That's right, yeah. So, good. Okay, I think we should stop, go on a little wee break, and I'll get the choir up and running.
Let's say be back just before 6:50. So like a 14-ish minute break. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, we can do stuff. Okay.
Cool.
Thanks.
I like that. Can't wait to hear the choir.
I know, it's really very, very bitty until you hear it all together.
Yeah. Stop rolling.
Yeah, let's stop rolling.
So you were recording all that, were you?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to introduce everybody to everybody else. So we have 3 technicians here tonight, 2 videographers. Some of you know Peter in the middle.
Yeah.
And some of you probably know Landon here. And Julian doing the audio. And Julian doing the cello.
We'll trade off.
Kevin James. And Maria, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Nanoya. Maria Nanoya. And Adam Nelson. And I won't name the choir, but there's 19 voices, I think. Okay, so just tell me when all the cameras are rolling.
Okay, so stay there for a second.
Yeah, but I want to know how the other cameras look. I don't want, like, you kind of see my butt and you see everybody's faces.
See your butt, they'll get a lot more views. Think of that.
Maybe not. Yeah, so the bar before you come in is Pew Moso, remember? And Julian was right with me. Da dum da dum. Dee dee da 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 dum. Okay, so move it along. Oh, it's hard to conduct with a mask on.
Kevin, bar 23, my last note of the bar, it really is an A natural then? Is that
I've got a D natural in that measure too, so probably.
Yes.
Unless you want to try tone.
No, I think it's as marked.
Okay.
Can I hear what it sounds like? Just
Sure.
try that. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just...
Yeah. Why don't we just go from the overture, from 6/8 bar, bar 10. Plonk. It's your little solo. Okay. And this is Mysterioso. Okay. 1, 2. Sorry. Did I beat you in too late? D. Well, let's just do it again. I'm not sure what happened. Yeah, I think I miscounted. Sorry, for my sake, let's do it again. Okay, 1, 2. Good. I think that's pretty good. Okay. Good, thanks. Can you hear what they're doing? I can sort of hear.
Yeah, no, I hit them well.
It's quite a different thing up here with with this little wall between us, but it's very interesting. Just one general note, just make sure that you are moving with me. I hear sometimes a little bit of a lag, and that's just because of our placement, okay?
Yes, well, I'm thinking if that's the case, we probably don't have to play up a lot of the time, which will be good for balance, but also for you, because you feel a bit isolated with our
Right.
sound.
I want you to play so that it's comfortable. You know, I don't want you to suddenly make, mousy sounds just because, we're going to trust them.
Sure.
Because I do trust them.
My name is Matthew Larkin, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity to share in this wonderful project, this study of Confederation poets. And I'm grateful to Kevin Reeves and to 17 Voices for including me in the list of esteemed composers that are contributing to this wonderful chapter in Canadian literature and poetry. I chose a poem by Archibald Lampman primarily because of his connection to the city in which I live. He is buried, as some people know, at Beechwood Cemetery, a place about which he once wrote a poem. And if you visit Beechwood Cemetery, you'll find on the entrance gate his poem engraved on a plaque there. He's not the only poet who's buried in Beechwood either. Sir Cecil Spring Rice is also there. So it's a place that is very luminous with the sense of Canadian literature. So in terms of how I set the music itself, the piano part is a flowing figure that represents the sense of water moving continually in one direction, whereas the choral parts realize the chords that are suggested in the piano in slower motion figures, perhaps to exemplify either stationary aspects of the landscape or clouds that move much more slowly than the flowing water of the river itself. And in so doing, I hoped to paint a musical picture of what Lampman suggests are the sounds of the soul of Earth.
I'm Andrew Ager. I wrote Spring Song, Garden Shadows, and The Weather Vane. About 15 years ago, I dropped into a secondhand bookstore on Bloor Street late one night in Toronto, and I found a volume of poems by Bliss Carman, and some of them struck me right away as being very good material for lyrics to set to music. So I wrote Garden Shadows, originally commissioned by violist Kevin James, and then more recently I was asked by Kevin Reeves to rework a set for the Earth Day concert, so that's what I have done.
When the dawn winds whisper to the I'm Stephanie Martin. I'm speaking to you, Kevin, from Toronto. I assume you're in Ottawa. Um, it was 2 years ago that you asked me, well over 2 years ago actually, that you asked me to write something for a concert you were putting together um, with a theme of Confederation poets. And I asked you, could I please write something based on a poem by Lucy Maud Montgomery? And you kindly said yes. So that's why I wrote it. And I was just looking at the score before we had our talk, and I finished it on January 25th, 2020. And those were pretty awful times. That was the really solid lockdown here in Toronto. It was snowy and cold and no one leaving their house. Definitely no choral singing. So um, that's how it came about.
And I found it interesting that you actually got in touch with the estate to get permission for the poem.
That's right, because Lucy Maud Montgomery she's a well-known like superstar novelist. We all read Anne of Green Gables when we were kids, and her novels were spectacularly popular, translated into many different languages, known all over the world, but her poetry, not so much. But she wrote like 500 poems.
Wow.
So I contacted the Lucy Maud Montgomery Institute in Prince Edward Island, which is where she was from, where she was born. And they put me in touch with the legal body, which is the heirs of Lucy Maud Montgomery. And they wrote me a nice letter and granted me permission to set this poem. For whatever reason, I was just picking off the shelf my anthology of Canadian poetry. Not a one. She never made those anthologies because she wasn't really recognized as a poet. But I think some of her true nature comes out in her poetry that doesn't come out in the novels that are delightful bestsellers, and we all love them. But some of her darker side, some of her troubled spirit comes out in the poetry. So, and I think that comes out in the poem Night that I set for you, Kevin. Talks a lot about her solitude and walking alone and finding comfort in the dark and the solitude of nature. It's quite a lovely poem, actually. I think she has a lot in common with another poet on your program, Archibald Lampman, who also wrote a lot about nature. That really inspired Lucy Maud Montgomery too. But another thing I learned that they have in common that they both worked in post offices in their younger day. Well, Lampman, I was a career postie, but Lucy Maud Montgomery also worked in the post office.
And so did Robert Service, of all people.
Well, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I guess there was just so much more traffic with written letters and things by post in those days, before telephones and email and all our other modes of communication.
Right. Well, anyway, thanks very much for writing it. I hope we did it justice, and
I'm so excited to hear it. Thanks for asking me to write something for your wonderful choir.
Hi, I'm Kevin Reeves. I'm the director of 17 Voices, and here is my composition. It's called Autumn's Orchestra, which is from a collection of poems called Flint and Feather, which was published in 1913 by a woman called Pauline Johnson, and she was part Mohawk and part European. She incorporated native ideals into her poetry and gave poetry readings across Canada and throughout the United States. And the reason why I've chosen Autumn's Orchestra is because there's ample opportunity to use word painting, because Pauline Johnson actually evokes nature through stringed instruments. So thanks for joining us in this Earth Day video, and hope that you can come to our concerts and hear them live, finally.
English